Hi, welcome to part 2 of my review of The Gypsy Switch by Jill Smith. I'm aware that I've missed out so much about Jill's journeys, about the purpose of them, about the rituals that she actually, the ritual journey, about the ritual part of the journeys, but this isn't for me to tell you everything. It's for me to entice you to buy this book for yourself and to find out more about Jill and her work and her life. And it's not for me to give you everything away, because those things are for you to discover for yourself. I'm just giving you a taster. I hope that it is going to make you really want to have this book. And I can tell you that if you do, that you will value it for a long time to come, and you will always come back to it. What else did I want to say before I just give you a reading from it? Yeah, I think as I pointed out in the first video with Jordan, the similarities are that what Jill shows us and what Jordan shows us, and they were both doing these things at a time when women didn't do these things. You know, it was a time when there was a lot more sexism, but we'll come back to that in a bit. But it was quite a revolutionary act what they did, being themselves in the way that they did, although they didn't see it that way. They just did it because they had to do it without fear. And I think now in the what is obviously the Instagram, Facebook age, when people are deliberately filtering themselves literally and in awareness of trying to weed out things they think won't be acceptable. Everybody's trying to be something they're not. They're putting on appearance. Everything is judged on appearance, be that of beauty or success. And these books, you know, but I'm talking about this one, but Jill's book is precious because it is entirely opposite to that. It is about getting back to exactly who we are, the essence of us, that individual essence that should be expressed rather than diluted or squashed because of any sort of fear of what anyone might think of us, fear for ourselves, anything. What is that individual essence within us telling us that we need to do? This is the core message of this book. And it's absolutely vital in that respect. And it's magical. It's so magical. It's filled with the absolute energy of everyday enchantment, because Jill has to be incredibly practical throughout all of her journeys. She's got to survive. There's a lot there's so much in this book that is grounded, that it's earth, literally, because Jill is becoming land, and that was the alternative title of this book when it was being in production. Before it became this, Becoming Land was one of the titles she was thinking of, because she was becoming land. So there's a lot of very rooted earthiness to it, but and just trying to stay alive, really, just all that. But also she was on another level as well, with the deep sacred experience that she was having every single day. She was literally keeping one foot in both worlds, and she brings that. As soon as you open this book and get engrossed in it, which you will, it just takes you into another realm completely. She weaves the seen and the unseen absolutely seamlessly and effortlessly, even though everything she does takes effort. You know, it's hard work to do this journey. It's hard work to write a book, but everything she does just flows from her. It really does. And what I absolutely love about this book is it takes us into another age, not in just a magical realm, another layer of reality. It takes us into a completely other age, one that I have experienced because I am of that age that remembers this age. But it takes me back even further to a time when I was too young to really appreciate it. And it wasn't even that long ago, really. This book is like a window onto a world when there was no mobile phones, there was no internet, there was no surveillance cameras, and local shops and pubs and things, everything closed early. Things on Sunday, if Sundays were virtually dead, nothing stayed open. Phone boxes were the only way that you could communicate. It just seems like it's like a vanishing realm that I suppose younger people of a certain generation just can't grasp. But this book just brings that to life so vividly. It's really of that time. And yet, at the same time, I'm not idealising it, because it was also a world where the threat of nuclear annihilation was really... I mean, I remember this absolutely profoundly, because I lived in terror of nuclear war, and there were nuclear bases to be, all over the place, nuclear bunkers all over the place. Now they're just, they're relics. They're being sold off on eBay. I've actually been and visited one. The Greenham base is no more. The one that was so vigilantly protested by all those women, amazing actions that they did there. All that is gone now. That threat is I mean, obviously it's not gone away, but it's way down the list. It's become replaced by other threats, or so-called threats. Yeah, so it's a completely different age, and it will draw you into that and make you think about how different things are, even in the space of 20 years. Although this is majority in the 70s and 80s, so you may not have been around then. You may not have been aware of it. Might not have been old enough to have been aware of it anyway. And it also was an era when there was a lot more sexism and racism. and yet nothing stopped Jill from doing what, like I keep reiterating, nothing stopped her from following her heart, from doing what she had to do, from being who she is, and for walking for peace, in peace. And like, she's a Leo, Jill. She's very much connected with that fiery energy, and she was literally like a flame going up and down the country, lighting old beacons for us all, for everybody, not just for herself. This isn't a selfish thing. It's selfish with a big capital S, to the greater self, for the good of the all. That there's something that it's not introspective, it's not self-indulgent, it's outward looking, it's giving, it's considerate. She did it for everybody, for all our relations. And this book, if this is the best thing I can give you right at the end here, this book is like a very wise, incredibly knowledgeable and self-aware, but also self-deprecating friend. Jill does not ever big herself up at all. She gives you it warts and all. She is honest and candid and refreshingly open. She will share with you things that were intensely private and meaningful to her. She will share all of those things with you. And that's what she's like. That's what her work is like. That's what her life is like. I can vouch for that 100%. And because of it, it's like spending time with this wise woman. It's like spending time with a wise woman. She is a wise woman. You'll want to stay there. It's really hard when you get to the end of this book, and I think I've read another review where it says that you come to the end of it and you've been taken somewhere. You've been taken somewhere by a very gifted storyteller, and you've been transported by her words into this other way of seeing and being, and it's really hard to come back from it. And that's why I went straight back and read it again, because it does, besides the fact there's so much to take in, that on the first reading you'll miss quite a lot. So yeah, the whole energy of it will stay with you, and you will want to find a way to do this yourself, whatever this is. I promise you. I know that and I can speak for another friend who we talked about this recently, that there's some sort of, when Jill first told us about this, you feel that you should be doing it too. You should be living in a more wild way. You should be out there walking, sleeping under hedges. And some of us, me and my friend, know that we can't do that. We're not physically built for it. We might have been able to do it at some point, but not now. And to beat yourself up about that and say we should be doing this too, that's not our thing that we should be doing. We need to find the thing that we should be doing and do that, because this was Jill's path and we can't walk it. We can do, if that is what we're meant to be doing, if we are meant to be doing pilgrimages and wild walking and walking for peace and all those things, then that's great. You don't have to be doing that. Don't feel that that's the only way to express that individual purpose, the thing that you came here to do. Find that. That's what it's telling you. I'll just read from the book before I finish, because otherwise I'm going on for quite a long time, aren't I? Where am I? Okay. Just gives you some of the beauty of this book. Outside, the sky was rainbow-coloured as the sun set, and the brilliant near-full moon reflected among the dark shadows of trees in the lake. Later, there was a frost. I told myself not to despair, and wished life went on longer so we could put to use all we'd learned, and wished our bodies didn't grow old quite so quickly and let us down. Next day I walked across the fields to a phone and heard that I was at last divorced and a free woman. Walking down a path from the churchyard, I blended deeply into that area of Britain, absorbing it into myself. The days were so short, and as we walked back across the ploughed fields of that flat land, the sun set deep red on one horizon as the full moon rose on the other. They looked at each other, and the energy flowed between them as they acknowledged each other's power, and Tally, her son, and I were in the middle, receiving it, and that extraordinary moment has stayed with me to this day. On that full moon, the wagon was light all night, but more than that, I had the sense of not being covered, as if I was lying bare under her brilliant white, having it pour over me like a physical substance, with her energy flowing through me. Outside, everything was painted silver white by the moon light, like some sort of insubstantial snow. More and more I felt the yew tree. I felt in the yew tree, part of the yew tree, becoming the yew tree, as if she had taken me into her cave and enfolded me in her dark greenness. She so embodied that time of year, her living leaves holding death. Yet I had been told in the past times that gypsies ate the red flesh of the berries after removing the seeds, for the flesh brought life, though the seeds brought death. Life in death, death in life, like winter. I recalled my previous times in Longbarrows and felt there was work being done. Everything was beginning to stand still again as we moved towards the pause of midwinter. Shall I carry on? No, I'll encourage you to carry on. Read this book. Please read this book. Even if it encourages you to take some wild walks, you don't have to be sleeping out in a tent or without a tent or wild camping or whatever. Be more aware when you take your walks. Wherever you're walking, be more aware. That's another thing we can take away from this book. And wasn't that writing beautiful? Didn't that just take you into that absolutely stunning place? Thank you, Jill, for this book. Thank you for your work. I am going to do as many links as I can in the descriptions, and hope that you will feel inspired to read this wherever you are in the world, whatever you're doing. Please at least take the time to find out more about Jill, because she has given so much and she still does. And look at that picture. What an extraordinary, ordinary person. What an example of everyday enchantment Jill is with her son Taliesin there. Before I go, a blank space. My next videos will be Wild Spirit revamp of this card and this card. I'm doing two at once. Also some crafts, catch up generally. So I'm working on these at the moment. There probably won't be another video until I finish, so I can show you these. I've got to concentrate on one thing at a time. Making videos is quite intensive. So leaving you with the book rather than the blank space. Thank you so much for watching. It's been a long thing and I don't know whether I've done it justice. Let me know what you think. Let me know if you're going to read the book. thank you for joining me. I really appreciate it, and you won't be sorry if you choose to buy or borrow The Gypsy Switch and Other Ritual Journeys by Jill Smith. Take care of yourselves and all other beings you encounter, and lots of love for now. Bye. See you soon. Bye.